In the past few years, Manila has become more pet-friendly. Case in point, more malls are allowing people to bring in their cats and dogs. A few restaurants as well. One thing lacking, dog parks where dogs can run and socialize. They're common in other countries, especially countries richer than ours, but very few here. I know this is a first world problem at a time when there are bigger pet issues to address. The rescuing of lost and abandoned or abused pets, spaying and neutering campaigns and the like. I promise to tackle them at a later date. But today, we're at Better Dog Canine Behavior Center, which has been running a Sunday dog park in BGC for several months now, part of BGC's My Street campaign. We're with owner Jojo Isorena, and we'll ask him why they do it, why it's good for dogs, why it may not be good for all dogs, and how others can do the same for their best friends. Jojo, thank you very much for welcoming us to Better Dog.
Thank you for having me, Coco.
What inspired you to organize a dog park?
Well, it was born out of a need to have a field where we could train our dogs, primarily for agility and for just to play around with our dogs outdoors, no? Because we don't have too many of those venues out here. At the same time, we've been hearing many of our clients asking us, where can I take my dog? Are there any dog parks in the Philippines? And we could never give them any answers.
A lot of your clients happen to be expats.
A lot of them are expats.
So they're exposed to the dog parks they see abroad.
That's
Or
right.
that they enjoyed abroad.
Yes, yes.
And so you couldn't give them an answer.
I couldn't give them an answer. I couldn't direct them to a place that I could recommend.
And when you said it came out in part from a need for agility classes, and we saw some of that, you can't do agility classes in the classrooms. You can't do much of that here in the classrooms.
Too small.
So you really do need a field.
Yes.
So the two things came together.
Yeah.
And that's what you've been offering for several months now.
That's correct.
There. Why do dogs need play
Play? Well,
with other dogs?
okay. Well, dogs are social animals, like humans, and this is the reason why we take them into our homes and have them live with us. No? So as social animals, they also have social needs. They have the need to interact or to engage with other dogs or other humans. And there has to be a venue for that because they're very high drive animals. No? They have
Some of them at least.
Yep, they have lots of energy. And when you want to play with your animal, you don't really have too much space inside the home to do it. You really want to do it outside. No?
Now, a lot of people have gotten by without dog parks, and even that you have one now, and there's at least one more we know of in Metro Manila. Most people, the great majority, don't even know of these dog parks. What do their dogs lack?
Well, all dogs, and I'm speaking from the smallest Chihuahua to the big German Shepherds, they all need three things to be happy in a human home: exercise, mental stimulation, and training. And that's what we've been preaching all these years. And unfortunately, they've been lacking a lot in the exercise and mental stimulation part. They get some training, but to exercise, to get some enrichment from their environment, they don't get too much of that. And this is the reason why we have a lot of behavior problems coming our way. And what happens is, before we came along, what happens is when a dog is misbehaving, it ends up being caged for the rest of its life, especially on or around the age of 1, which is when all the problems start to happen.
And what do dog parks offer?
And what dog parks offer is the chance to exercise. They have the space where your dog can be allowed to run. They have other dogs to meet, other humans to meet, and they get enrichment from doing that.
Whether they socialize with our dogs or not, they need the place to run.
They need the place to run.
Does that go for all dogs?
All dogs, all dogs.
Even the smallest dogs?
Well,
the oldest dogs?
the small dogs and the old dogs, they don't really need as much exercise as the bigger dogs, but all of them need mental stimulation.
Before I started going to your dog park, my image of it was what I would see in American movies. And it's typically some park, a whole bunch of dogs there. You have a very different kind of dog park. What's the difference?
Well, this dog park is run by Better Dog. And the reason why it's different is that it's supervised and it has some very strict rules. We also screen the dogs that are allowed inside. In many of the dog parks that you see in the United States or around the world, there's really, it's freewheeling. Anybody can go in, you can take any dog in, and when you get inside, you get a book and you sit down and you just let your dog loose.
Which I've tried to do once or twice.
And how did it go for you?
Not very well.
You see, this is the reason why there are a lot of horror stories. Maybe a lot of people haven't heard about it, but there are a lot of horror stories that happen in dog parks. Dogs being attacked by other dogs, dogs biting other humans. So we don't want that to happen. In the first place, we want all dogs to be well socialized. We want them to have training, and we want them to learn how to behave properly around other dogs and humans. When a dog has a bad experience with another dog, then for the rest of its life, it learns that the other dogs are bad dogs, and whenever it sees another dog, then it's going to be stressed. It's not going to be able to relax around other dogs.
When they come to dog park, how do you screen them?
We have what we call bomb-proof dogs. These are usually our dogs that are very, very well socialized. When they encounter dogs that are inappropriate, they would rather turn away or run away rather than to engage. No? So we expose these new dogs to our dogs, and then we will see how they are.
That includes one dog I know, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're telling me that you have these bomb-proof dogs that tell you...
That tell us.
What?
That the new dog is sociable. It is not going to show any aggression with other dogs.
How do they show that to you?
Which one? The new dogs?
How does your dog tell you that the new dog is might be aggressive?
Well, we read the signs. Now the dogs, when two dogs meet for the very first time, they go into a meet and greet ritual. And so we know all of that. And once we see that a new dog is literate, he's showing all the good signs, the handshakes, so to speak, then we know it's a good dog.
Literate, as in some dogs are illiterate.
Yeah, some dogs don't know. They grow up not knowing that because they've been caged all their lives. They've been separated from their dam and their litter very early on in their lives.
I started out by saying this might not be for all dogs. What happens to dogs that are too aggressive for this? Do they have any hope of ever joining?
Some dogs will not be able to go into a dog park at all for the rest of their lives. Now, some dogs are actually predatory. They're not going to be good with small dogs. Some dogs are just too fearful to recover from meeting other dogs.
Even you can't fix them?
Well, even I can't fix them sometimes when it's genetic.
So and some dogs are just too shy, right?
Right.
So what should an owner of a very shy dog or a very aggressive dog do if they cannot socialize in big groups?
Well, for one, no, you can take your dog on leash around the park, in or around the park, at a distance from the other dogs. Let him take it in on his own time. Don't force the dog to be sociable, right? He has to be able to overcome his fears, and that's something that you can't force.
Can people organize their own dog parks?
Sure, they can do that, but they should be aware of these things that we just talked about, that there are risks involved and that there should be competent people to supervise.
And what should they do to organize smaller groups like play dates?
Play dates are fine, as long as you know the dogs. Okay? The problem comes when dogs that don't know, or people that don't know the other dogs. I, for example, would not introduce my dog to a dog that I don't know. I would allow my dog to sit and stay, but I would not let it go up and meet a dog that I don't know.
So right now, in the recent dog parks you've held, there could be 100 dogs there.
Yeah.
Why is it not a mess?
Well, we put in the safeguards, no? Like I said, we screen the dogs that are allowed to go inside. And number two, when you sign up, when you register, you give us your information, and we have set some rules that you have to read and follow when your dog is inside the dog park, and pretty much you're pretty much responsible for your own dog.
Sometimes a few of the dogs, usually smaller ones, will be running around the whole place. Why doesn't that cause bedlam among the other dogs?
Well, sometimes it does. You see, every Sunday there's at least one dog. There's that one dog that will start a chase. And of course, when one small dog starts to run around, it triggers the prey or the chase drive in all the other dogs. And you see all these dogs running around. Most of the time, they don't know why they're running around. They just feel like they have to. So it's really funny when you see it, but it can turn dangerous. And so when that happens, we'll watch. And then when it gets too much, then we have to step in and stop it.
Do you remember your first dog?
Yes.
Who was it?
My first dog as an adult was Nike. It's an Alaskan Malamute.
Favorite breed?
Alaskan Malamute.
Why?
It's beautiful. It's a majestic dog. It's an ancient breed. And it interacts almost like a human.
Number of dogs you think you've had throughout your life?
Ooh. Maybe 20, 25 dogs.
How many cats?
One.
One cat?
Just one.
Why was there one cat?
It was a cat I had when I was a kid, and it was just there. It just appeared out of nowhere. I would feed it, but that was the most I could do with it. I really didn't know much about it. It would just be a pet.
Most beloved dog?
Wow, that's hard. That's really tough because every day that I meet a new dog, I always fall in love with it. And when you meet a dog, wonderful, wonderful dog, you never forget it.
Favorite trick?
Favorite trick? Frisbee, catching a frisbee.
Is it hard to teach them that?
Yeah, in fact, that's how I got into dog training. I just wanted a dog that would catch a frisbee.
And how did that lead to this?
Well, first I got the wrong dogs, then I had to get the right dog, and then by the time I got the right dog, I already went through about 5 different dogs, till I finally got a border collie. And when I finally got a border collie, I already figured that I needed to put up a training center because a lot of people were looking to do the same things. So,
Before you became a dog trainer, what were you?
I was in advertising. I was a graphic designer, and before that, I was a copywriter in advertising.
What's the connection between the two careers?
Nothing.
I asked you what was your favorite trick. What's your favorite treat?
My favorite treat is liver, boiled pork liver.
Do you ever share the treats with your dogs?
Share?
You and your dog, same treat, same food.
No, I don't eat liver. I'm one of those that can't stand the taste of liver.
Food from the table. Your
Food from the table. Yes, I share.
Do you share kisses with your dogs?
In private.
Jojo, thanks again for welcoming us to Better Dog.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.